Have you ever wondered, it's the same corn, boiled on the same stove, so why doesn't the corn I cook at home turn out soft and sweet like the ones they sell? In fact, the boiled corn sold outside has two more flavors. Just boiling corn in water will not be delicious. Today, Tracy will share with you the secret that makes your pot of corn not only burst with mouth-watering aroma, but also soft, chewy, and full of flavor. A taste you'll remember from the very first bite, just like at the store. Let's head into the kitchen together now. After trying it once, you'll probably never want to buy store-bought boiled corn again. Before getting started with boiling corn, proper preparation plays a major role in determining the flavor and deliciousness of the corn after it is cooked. Many people have the habit of peeling off all the outer husks, thinking that doing so will help the corn cook faster. But in fact, it unintentionally removes the characteristic fragrance. The best way is to keep a thin layer of husk wrapping around the corn kernels. This layer not only helps the corn retain its natural aroma, but also helps the kernels maintain an appealing soft waxy texture after cooking. Next, use a knife to cut off the tip and bottom of the corn, especially the parts that are wilted, dry, or show signs of spoiled or worm-eaten silk. However, do not throw away the corn silk. This part is very rich in nutritional value. According to Eastern medicine, corn silk has diuretic properties, cools the liver, reduces inflammation, and is especially good when cooked together with the corn, helping the dish become more refreshing and nutritious. After handling the husks and silk, soak the corn in diluted salt water for about 10 minutes. This method helps thoroughly clean off remaining dust and bacteria, while also gently disinfecting, especially effective with corn bought from markets. After soaking, just rinse a few more times with clean water, let it drain, and it's ready to be cooked. A few simple steps like these will make your boiled corn more fragrant, cleaner, and safer for the whole family. After selecting and properly preparing the corn, the next step is cooking it so that it turns out delicious, sweet, and retains all its nutrients. It may sound simple, but in fact, boiling corn also requires the right technique to produce a pot of corn that is soft, fragrant, and maintains its natural flavor. Corn is a good source of starch, rich in fiber, which helps keep you full for longer, supports digestion, and stabilizes blood sugar. Corn silk contains many flavonoids and potassium, which have diuretic effects, detoxify the body, support blood pressure reduction, and cool the liver. First, place the cleaned corn into the pot, arranging it neatly so that when the water boils, the heat spreads evenly across the cobs. Then, add a small spoonful of salt. This is an old folk trick that many people have used for years. Salt helps retain moisture in the kernels, avoiding dryness or toughness when cooked too long. Moreover, the light saltiness enhances the corn's natural sweetness, making the dish more flavorful. Another important tip is to add a small spoonful of baking soda to the pot, especially useful if you're cooking glutinous corn, waxy corn. Baking soda has a mild alkalinity that helps break down the tough structure of cellulose, naturally softening the kernels without altering the taste. Additionally, corn contains niacin, vitamin B3, a B group vitamin that is essential for the nervous and digestive systems. However, niacin is best absorbed by the body in an alkaline environment, so adding baking soda not only makes the corn tastier, but also boosts its nutritional value. When cooking corn, always use cold water so the corn cooks evenly from the inside out, preserving its aroma and tender waxy texture. Don't pour boiling water over the corn, because the starch in the kernels will encounter sudden high heat, which can cause them to harden and lose their chewiness. Using cold water allows the heat to gradually spread, helping the kernels cook evenly and retain their fragrance and natural softness. After adding enough water to cover the corn, turn on the heat and bring the pot to a boil on high. Once the water is rapidly boiling, reduce to low heat and simmer gently for another 10 minutes. That's the perfect amount of time for the corn to be fully cooked, soft, and sweet without losing nutrients. Don't overcook, because prolonged high heat will cause the loss of vitamins and antioxidants in the corn. When the corn is cooked, take it out immediately. Do not let the corn soak in the cooking water for too long. It will lose nutrients and affect the flavor, not to mention that the nutrients will be dissolved in the water. If you used corn silk in the pot, you can even reuse the boiled water as a refreshing drink that helps cool the body, supports diuresis, and is very good for your health. The corn cobs, after boiling, still retain their bright yellow color, plump and beautiful. Try a piece, the same flavor as in the store. Crispy, soft, sweet, especially very fragrant. So from now on, you don't have to spend money buying corn from the store anymore. A good pot of corn doesn't just depend on the ingredients, but also on the care in every step of cooking. And once you've grasped a few small tips like these, you'll find that homemade boiled corn is just as good as what you'd get from a store. Safe, delicious, and full of love for the whole family. To get the perfect boiled corn dish, the first important thing is to choose the right type of corn that suits your family's taste. Many people often confuse the types of corn, which leads to boiled results that don't meet expectations, even if they cook it correctly. If you and your loved ones enjoy the natural sweetness, crunchiness, and juiciness, then sweet corn is the ideal choice. This type usually has large kernels, bright yellow in color, and when eaten, you can immediately taste the cool sweetness from the very first bite. But if you're the type who prefers soft, chewy corn with a waxy, nuttier texture, then glutinous corn, also known as waxy corn, will satisfy you. This kind typically has smaller kernels, white or pale yellow in color, and when cooked, releases a distinctive aroma and tastes very pleasing. Tracy and my kids like sweet flavors, so they eat sweet corn more. That said, just by choosing the right type of corn to match your taste, you're already halfway to mastering a perfect pot of boiled corn at home. How about your family? Do you like sweet corn or glutinous corn? Leave a comment below to let Tracy know. If you've boiled corn but haven't finished eating it, you can absolutely store the remaining portion in a simple yet highly effective way, helping retain the deliciousness, tenderness, and nutritional value of each corn cob. First, wait until the corn cools completely. Then wrap each cob individually with plastic food wrap, making sure to press tightly to remove all the air inside. This step is extremely important because it helps isolate the corn from outside air, prevents oxidation, reduces moisture loss, and especially blocks bacteria and mold from entering. After wrapping tightly, you can store the corn in the refrigerator's cooler or freezer compartment, depending on how long you intend to use it. If kept in the cooler, it should be consumed within a few days. But if you want to store it for longer, the freezer is the optimal choice. Corn can retain its flavor for up to 6 months. When you want to eat it again, simply steam or lightly boil for a few minutes, and the corn will be tender and tasty, just like freshly cooked. In addition, the corn boiling water is also very valuable, so don't rush to pour it away. This water is rich in nutrients from the kernels and corn silk, has a light natural sweetness, is easy to drink, and helps cool the body, detox the liver, and support digestion very well. With just a few simple steps, you not only keep your boiled corn delicious for a long time, but also maximize the nutritional value from both the corn and its cooking water. A small tip, but extremely powerful in your home kitchen. So we've just finished exploring how to boil corn that's soft, sweet, and fragrant, just like the ones sold outside. And yet it's also nutritious and easy to store. Make sure to hit the like button if you love this video, follow the channel so you don't miss out on more interesting kitchen tips, and click on the video section of the channel to watch many more simple to make yet highly effective cooking recipes and secrets. Thank you for watching, and I wish you and your family always enjoy delicious and warm meals together.